Good evening and a very warm welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. It's the 23rd of December 2023. For the Newsfirst team, I am Peruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, let's start off with your headlines for tonight. 1,678 arrested during Operation Yuka during past 24 hours. Operation Yuka will not be called off, regardless of any obstructions, says Minister Tiran Alas.
තර්ජනය කරන්නත් පටන් අරන් තියෙනවා. මට පොය 7යි දෙන්නේ කියලා මොනවා කිව්වත් අපි මේ දේ නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ.
මැද ඉන්න මාළු ගල්ලකට පස්සේ අපිට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් කවුද මේ රට කුඩුගේන තෝරුමෝරු කියලා එතෙන්ටත් අපි අත තියෙන දවස වැඩි ඈතක නැහැ කියන එකත් මම පැහැදිලිව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Inmate at Mathura prison, hospitalized due to a condition presumed to be brain fever, dies. 8 others hospitalized. Fuel companies advised to maintain 50% stocks during festive season, says State Minister D.B. Chanaka. Sri Lanka and Myanmar foreign ministers hold talks on rescue and repatriation of victims of human trafficking. On to those stories in detail now. Operation Yuka, launched by Sri Lanka Police on the 17th of December, is still ongoing. A program in connection to the operation was held at the Mirihana Police grounds today.
A special awareness on Operation Yuka for community police officers of 17 police stations in the Nugegoda Police Division was held. President's Senior Advisor on National Security Sagala Ratnayaka, Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas and Acting IGP Deshabandu Thenakun attended the program.
දැන් හැමදාම පොලිසියට හිතවත් ඕගොල්ලෝ තුල වුණත් තියෙන කතාවක් තමයි කුඩු අල්ලනවා කියලා කිව්වට හාල් මැස්සෝ තමයි අල්ලන්නේ.
Most of you are under the impression that the police are arresting the small-scale dealers instead of the large-scale drug traffickers. That is true. When the police step out to conduct the operations, there are people possessing their stocks of drugs about 20 to 40 milligrams. We can't just ignore them. When we arrest the small-scale dealers, we will get a hold of those behind the mega dealings. Drugs and the underworld aren't two things. It is one. If we take a look at the statistics during the last week and the week before, the crime rate in this country has dropped significantly. When we eliminate drug trafficking in the next 6 months, the crime rate of this country will go down by 50%. I will assure that when a data system of all the underworld criminals was established, we were able to identify 1,091 underworld members across the country. They commit crimes and flee the country in a matter of hours. For the first time in history, we will start arresting criminals in the airport from January next year. Around 135 criminals who are in prisons across the country conduct criminal activities while they are in prison. We are going to install an intelligence unit in all those prisons to control the criminal activities and to reduce these criminal activities using mobile phones. If the criminals take guns into their hands to harm the civilians and the police of this country, the special task force will take action to handle them.
අපරාධකරුවන් ලෑස්ති වුණොත් එහෙම පොලිසියට හරි සාමාන්‍ය ජනතාවට හරි අවිවසවන්න ඒට අවශ්‍ය පිළිතුර විශේෂ කාර්යබලකායෙන් ලැබේ.
මේක තමයි නීතිය පුද්ගලික ආරක්ෂාවේ ආයතනය යටතේ දඬු සංග්‍රහය තියෙනවා.
This is the law. The penal code ensures the right to self-defense. We cannot allow the people to shoot at people, scare people, threaten people, to engage in drug trafficking, to take ransom and to get involved in underworld activities. According to the law, a person can be given death sentence for possessing 5 grams of heroin. The strength and the power the Sri Lanka police needs will be given by the special task force. This operation will not stop. The operation will continue until we wipe out drug trafficking and all underworld activities in Sri Lanka.
ගෙන යාමට මෙම මෙහෙයුම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා.
ගෑස් හිඟයක් තිබ්බා, පෝලිං වල හිටියා, තෙල් හිඟයක් තිබ්බා, බේත් හිඟයක් තිබ්බා, රැකියාවක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ.
There was no employment opportunities. The country was collapsed. We didn't have money because our foreign reserves went down to zero, and in a situation like that was when President Ranil Wickremesinghe took the responsibility of this country. When he took over office, law and order had also collapsed. The people of this country didn't know what to do. They took to the streets to protest, and it ended up being an illegal struggle with violent actions which resulted in the collapse of the law and order of this country. During 1 or 2 days, the law and order of the country was established, and during the next 2 weeks, there were no queues. As a country, there were questions we need to solve about how we should operate the government, how we should work, and how some laws should be prepared. Everybody expected a country without corruption and for foreign countries to work with us. We did all of that. We couldn't overturn the economy of this country if President Ranil Wickremesinghe wasn't here. We aren't saying that. When we travel to other countries, the leaders of those countries tell that they didn't expect our country will overcome from economic downturns because it usually takes 10 years to overturn an economy of a country. They asked the president how he did that. That's why the president of France visited our president on his way to another country. State leaders of other countries invite our president to share his ideas on how he revived the economy of Sri Lanka.
ඒවා අපිව දැනුවත් කරන්න එන්න කියලා ආරාධනා කරනවා.
එක පැත්තකින් මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය උදර හා පාතාලය ක්‍රියාකාරකම් වැඩි වුණේ මේ අරගලය හින්දා.
The Argale was a reason for the increase of crimes and drug trafficking activities in Sri Lanka. For about a year, their primary duty of the police was to stop protests around the country. The police did not have any time to overlook crimes and other activities. We decided to arrest these drug dealers. During the past week, they have arrested around 1,000 suspects involved in drug trafficking. Some religious leaders and lawyers say that this is a show for the media. There are people trying to demotivate us by saying that it is a show. There are people who have connections with the criminals involved in drug trafficking and other underworld activities. They are upset about what we do, and that's why they attack me and the IGP in press conferences. They think that we will then take a step back. It will not happen. I clearly say that despite the obstacles and the threats, we will not call this off. I have already received death threats that I will only live to see 7 more poor days. Until I am subject minister, I will not let anyone save drug dealers and the members of the underworld. No matter what they say, we will not stop it.
මොන කතා කිව්වත් අපි මේක නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ. අපි දිගටම කරගෙන යනවා.
The group inspected multiple items seized by the police during the operations. $1,676 suspects were arrested during the Operation Yuktiya during the 24-hour window that ended at 12:30 a.m. today. Police said 119 suspects are being interrogated based on detention orders. 45 suspects are being interrogated for the possession of illegal assets. Meanwhile, 112 drug addicts were directed to rehabilitation centers. Police also arrested 132 individuals already listed as suspects by the Police Narcotics Bureau. Illegal drugs, including heroin and cannabis, were also recovered during the operations. "58 suspects were arrested during operations carried out in Grand Pass last night. 26 of them were arrested for drug trafficking, while the identity of 32 were not verified. "40 suspects were arrested during the raids carried out in Wanathamula Boralla yesterday. A woman was also arrested along with 600 milligrams of ice. Operation Yuktiya was also effective in Katanguri South last night. Two suspects were arrested for drug trafficking in the Kopanividya police station last night. Three drug traffickers were arrested along with 2 luxury vehicles, an Outlander, and 6 motorcycles during an operation carried out by the Colombo Crimes Division in Boralla and Ganemulla. An asset investigation was also launched over 4 houses belonging to Ganemulle Ranga, who was arrested. An asset investigation on a house belonging to Boralla Chuttin is also underway.
We have seized 3 cars, 5 houses and 7 motorcycles during the operation. Investigations reveal that all of these items were acquired using money from illegal activities.
52 suspects were arrested along with heroin, ice and cannabis during Operation Yuktiya carried out in Balangoda yesterday. An awareness program was conducted under the chairmanship of Balangoda ASP Udaya Kumara to ensure the safety of people in Balangoda during the festive season. 2 suspects were arrested along with heroin, ice and cannabis during raids carried out by the police and army in Mihintale this morning.
Meanwhile, in developments coming in from the United States, President Joe Biden pardoned thousands of people who were convicted of use and simple possession of marijuana on federal lands and in the District of Columbia.
In a statement, US President Joe Biden said his actions would help make the promise of equal justice a reality. The president is also granting a clemency to 11 people who are serving disproportionately long sentences for non-violent drug offences. Biden said that criminal records for marijuana use and possession have imposed needless barriers to employment, housing and educational opportunities.
An inmate at the Mathura prison who was hospitalized due to a condition presumed to be brain fever has died.
The deceased was among 3 inmates who were hospitalized at the Mathura base hospital due to a condition presumed to be brain fever.
The deceased was among 3 inmates who were hospitalized. The deceased was a 28-year-old who was remanded on the 30th of August this year over charges of murder. He was a resident of Akarasa. His samples have been forwarded to the Borella Medical Research Institute to confirm whether the cause of death was brain fever.
A prison's official said that prison visits have been restricted to control the spread of the disease. Based on court orders, it has also been decided to send the new inmates directed to the Mathura prison to the Angonukola Palasa prison. 550 inmates are currently at the Mathura prison. The Physicians Union Alliance for Medicine and Civil Rights issued a statement on this.
අපට මතකයි මීට මාස කිහිපයකට කලින් ගාල්ල බූස බන්ධනාගාරෙත් මේ අන්දමටම මෙනින්ජයිටිස් රෝගී තත්ත්වයේ ව්‍යාප්තියක් වාර්තා වුණා.
A few months ago, a similar outbreak of meningitis was reported from the Gaul and Busa prisons. The Health Ministry must be held responsible to look into if this disease spreads through visitors who come into or if it is due to the hygiene at the prison. Against the backdrop of thousands of arrests being made on a daily basis due to the ongoing operations to combat drug trafficking and organized crimes, the number of inmates in remand custody are beyond its capacity. The chances of such disease spreading are high as well. The Minister of Health and Minister of Prison Affairs must launch a joint investigation into this.
Chief incumbent of the Mihintale Rajamahavihara, Venerable Vallabha Hangunavabe Dhammaratana Thero says that the rulers of Sri Lanka are behind the jeopardy of the development projects being carried out on the temple.
A special religious event was held near the Maha Mahasaya, basing the problems arisen due to the removal of security from the Mihintale Rajamahavihara.
We commenced this project on the Dagaba in 2019 with the labour and support of the Sri Lanka Navy. We got to complete half of the project. The current rulers and Defence Ministry always wanted to jeopardise this project. On the 10th of December, they officially started working towards their aim. The Mahanayaka Theros have informed the President about this in writing as well. The people of the country need to understand that those ruling the country do not pay heed to even the letters of the Mahanayaka Theros.
Meanwhile, various opinions were expressed today with regard to the upcoming presidential election.
Presidential battle.
ඉදිරි අවුරුද්දේ ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයේ කීපයක් තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ජනාධිපතිවරු අපේක්ෂකයා කවුද?
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා අපේක්ෂක තෝරන්න ඕන වුණ වෙච්ච වෙලාවට තෝරයි මේ විධායක සභාව විසින්.
ඔබතුමාගේ අදහසක් නැහැ.
ඉතින් මාව තේරුවොත් මම තරඟ කරනවා.
Presidential battle.
By now, our country has a very skilled generation. We will be putting forward an alliance including representatives of this skilled young generation and those experienced in the field. Then the person who has the most potential to achieve victory and who works with practicality will be announced as our candidate. It is wrong of me to say that I will be contesting the presidential election. The decision is in the hands of the people. We respect the decision of the people.
Presidential battle.
Meanwhile, Samagi Janabalawegaya has come to a consensus in yesterday's party working committee meeting to face the upcoming presidential election as a broad alliance.
We held a discussion on the formation of an alliance. We will be forming this alliance next month. Our party executive board has already named Sajith Premadasa as our candidate. We will next be preparing to form an alliance that can lead us to victory. I believe that the Freedom People's Congress is still holding discussions with our party's high office bearers with regard to the formation of an alliance. I think the discussions will come to an end by January. We paid special attention to how we can form the largest alliance in 2024 and achieve victory in all upcoming elections with Sajith Premadasa as our next president. There has been no such request. Sajith Premadasa will definitely be our presidential candidate. No one has made any such request so far. Neither have we come to an agreement in that regard.
News First with the people.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri held discussions with Myanmar's Minister of Foreign Affairs over the rescue of the Sri Lankans who are trapped in a cyber slave camp operated by a terrorist group along the Thailand-Myanmar border. Now, these discussions were held on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC ministerial meeting in Thailand.
Over the past few days, Newsfirst has reported the incident of 56 Sri Lankans, young men and women who are trapped in a cyber slave camp operated by a terrorist group alongside the Thailand-Myanmar border. The camp, chillingly dubbed the cyber criminal area and located just 25 kilometers from the Myanmar town of Myawaddy, is reportedly controlled by a powerful terrorist group, posing significant challenges to the rescue efforts. Issuing a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, quote, "It is aware of the situation that has been evolving in Myanmar where Sri Lankan nationals have become victims of human trafficking for cyber crimes. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Myanmar have continued to actively seek the assistance and the cooperation of the Myanmar authorities on the safe repatriation of Sri Lankan nationals who have been trafficked to Myanmar." Given the grave nature of the situation, Foreign Minister Ali Sabri raised concerns of the safety of Sri Lankan nationals with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Myanmar, Pans Way, on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers' retreat in Bangkok, Thailand. The Foreign Ministry officials continue to raise serious concerns on the safety of Sri Lankan nationals with the Myanmar ambassador in Colombo and seek assistance and early intervention to secure their rescue and repatriation. Unquote. During the past few days, the trapped youth shared details with Newsfirst about the people involved in the racket. Gayan Buddhika, who is allegedly involved in the racket, made these revelations to Newsfirst. His sister is one of the young girls trapped in the cyber slave camp.
I suggested to send my sister to work in Myanmar too, but at the time I didn't know of the cybercrime camp. Considering the procedure to get a job in Dubai, I thought she will be able to have a good life with the salary in Myanmar. Then I suggested that my sister Ishara Dilrukshi to take the job as well. When I said that, one of her friends also joined the group. That was a relief to me. They went to Myanmar on a tourist visa. Ishara Dilrukshi is at the camp as well. I'm doing everything in my capacity to rescue my sister. No sibling will willingly send their sister to such a place. I wasn't aware of it. If I was, I wouldn't have ever done it. Please don't don't label me or my sister as a human trafficker. I will extend my fullest support in every possible way.
අංගොඩු ගන්න එපා. ඉතින් මමත් මේ වෙලාවේ තොරතුරු ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් හැම තැනකටම මට පුළුවන් විදිහකින් මම සහයෝගය දක්වනවා මේගොල්ලෝම ගන්න.
Police spokesperson SSP Nihal Thalduwa said that a few suspects, including a Chinese national, were arrested over the incident.
A few suspects, including a Chinese national, were arrested about a month ago in connection to the incident, but the investigations are not over yet. When you get into trouble in a foreign country, it isn't easy to find solutions overnight because you have to deal with a foreign country at a diplomatic level. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is dealing with this group at the diplomatic level.
දැන් මේ පිරිස සම්බන්ධව මම දන්න තරමින් විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශය කටයුතු කරනවා ඒ අදාළ රාජතාන්ත්‍රික මට්ටමින්.
A group of 52 Sri Lankan nationals who travelled to Oman on visit visas are facing an uncertain future, having been forced to seek shelter outside the Sri Lankan embassy for the past 3 months. They say that Abab, a recruiter in Oman, employs Sri Lankans as domestic workers in various homes for 5 to 6 months. These workers usually seek new placements after that period. The Sri Lankan community have stepped up to ensure the group's basic needs are met, offering them food and water. They are urging authorities to allow them to return to Sri Lanka.
අපිට එයාපෝට් එකේ ඉඳන් තමයි අපේ ටිකට් එකයි ගොතයි දුන්නේ වීසා ගැහුවේ නැහැ මම දැන් ආවේ 2021 12 වෙනි මාසේ 22 එතකොට මම පළවෙනියෙන් ගෙදරකට දැම්මා ඕමන් එකේ ඉන්නවා ලංකාවේ එක්කෙනෙක් මාව බාරගත්තා එයා බාර අරගෙන ඕමන් එකේ ගෙදරකට වැඩට දැම්මා ඒ ගෙදර මාස 5ක් වැඩ කරවුවා ඒ ගෙදර කැම බීම සවුතුයි කියලා මම ආයෙම ඒ බාබා මම එක්කන් ආවා ඔෆිස් එකට ආයෙත් දවස් 7කින් මාව ගෙදරකට දුන්නා ඒ ගෙදරට දුන්නට පස්සේ ඒ ගෙදර මම වැඩ කරා අවුරුද්දයි මාස 7 මාස 3ක් වෙනවා
එතකොට මේ ස්පොන්සර් කරපෙන්න අර්බාබ් විස්තර
වීසා ගැහුවේ නැහැ හා බතාක හැදුවේ නැහැ
දැන් කොච්චර කාලයක් දැන් මේ මෙතනට ඇවිල්ලා මේ විදියට
ඇවිල්ලා මේ 3 වෙනි මාසය
මොකක්ද දැන් මේ ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ආයෙ එන්න හදන අයට කියන්න තියෙන පණිවිඩය
තියෙන්නේ ඇත්තමයි ආයෙන රිසිට් වීසා කවදාවත් එන්න එපා කියලා ඕනම රටකට
Gypsies live in concert with Sirasa TV, where music meets the spirit of the season. Christmas with Gypsies. Back after 25 years to Vihara Mahadevi Open Air. Sirasa Flashtown 23 Gypsies live in concert. Featuring BNS, Hana and Nadima. Get your tickets now. Media sponsors Sirasa TV and TV1.
State Minister of Power and Energy D.V. Chanaka says that fuel companies have been advised to maintain stocks during the festive season in order to provide uninterrupted fuel to the public. The State Minister has given these instructions to Sipetco, Lanka IOC and Sinopec. Accordingly, the State Minister has advised them to maintain 50% stocks to ensure the continuous fuel supply. Moving on to more news, the World Health Organization has expressed concern over a record surge in dengue cases. According to the World Health Organization, Sri Lanka ranks among the top 30 countries with the highest dengue endemicity worldwide.
The UN World Health Organization said this year's surprising hike in dengue infections globally represents a potentially high public health threat. The warning came as WHO reported more than 5 million dengue infections and 5,000 deaths from the disease worldwide this year. The WHO said that the threat required the maximal attention and response from all levels of the UN Health Agency to support countries in controlling current dengue outbreaks and prepare for the upcoming dengue season. In the WHO Southeast Asia region, 10 out of 11 member states are known to be endemic for the dengue virus. In 2023, several countries, including Bangladesh and Thailand, have reported a notable surge in dengue cases compared to previous years. In particular, Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, Myanmar and Thailand rank among the world's 30 most highly endemic countries.
84,000 dengue cases have been reported in Sri Lanka so far this year. The National Dengue Control Unit said that 7,925 cases were reported in December alone. The majority of the cases was reported from the Colombo district. That number stands at 17,862. 50 people have died due to dengue this year. Meanwhile, India witnessed a surge in COVID-19 cases today, recording its highest single-day rise of new infections in the past 24 hours. With 752 new coronavirus infections being registered in the last 24 hours, India recorded its highest single-day rise today. According to data released by India's Union Health Ministry, the death toll rose to 533,332 with 4 new deaths, 2 from Kerala, 1 each in Rajasthan and Karnataka. The country's COVID case tally stood at 45 million. The Health Ministry also directed strengthening of the surveillance system for whole genome sequencing of positive case samples to track the variants through the Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomics Consortium network to ensure timely detection of newer variants circulating in the country. The UN Security Council has adopted a resolution urging more aid for the Gaza Strip, but falling short of a call for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
The vote followed days of negotiations to avoid a veto by the US, a permanent UN Security Council member and a key ally of Israel. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said the real problem to delivering aid was Israel's ongoing offensive. The UN has warned Gaza is at risk of famine if the war continues. Israel has launched a massive military campaign aimed at eliminating Hamas following the 7th of October attack in which militants killed at least 1,200 in southern Israel and took more than 240 hostage. At least 20,000 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Yesterday's resolution was introduced by the United Arab Emirates. Minutes before the vote, Russia, one of the 5 permanent members of the Council, introduced an amendment to revert to an earlier draft calling for an immediate ceasefire. It argued the text gave Israel freedom of movement to further clear the Gaza Strip. The Russian amendment was defeated and both Russia and the US went on to abstain, while the other 13 members of the Council backed the text that now calls for creating conditions, quote, for a sustainable cessation of hostilities, unquote. The resolution said it aimed to introduce, quote, extended humanitarian pauses and corridors throughout the Gaza Strip, unquote. Reacting to the resolution, Hamas criticized what it said was an insufficient step to meet the humanitarian needs of people in Gaza and accused the US of working hard to, quote, empty this resolution of its essence, unquote.
I've had this idea for a few years now to go on a quest to try and discover who he was.
Why did you have to go for something like this?
I want them to see this film and say, oh my God, this country is beautiful.
Was there a motive behind this whole documentary to promote tourism?
It was an unintended consequence, I'd say, Maria. And so when I started this film, I had an idea of a story. But when I ended it, I had a whole different understanding of who he was.
20 years later, we are still finding every opportunity to honor the genius of the place.
Newsfirst exclusive with writer and director of The Genius of the Place of the Aziz. 5th of January 2024 from 9:30 p.m. onwards on TV1. Streaming live on Newsfirst YouTube and Facebook channels. And with that, we conclude this Saturday's edition of Primetime News on TV1. The details of these stories and much more are available on our website www.newsfirst.lk. And for videos and other information, do follow us on our social media platforms. Take care and good night.